This is somewhat election related. This relates to the economy, of course. Peer in this space, David Pakman, doesn't take calls for his show. He takes voicemails. So one of the things he does is he has a voicemail line, and he will have you leave a voicemail. And then if you leave a voicemail to troll him or disagree with him, he'll play the voicemail back, but he'll act as if he's responding like in real time as if you're talking.
I didn't. Yeah, see, I thought it was a conversation until you just told me that.
No, if you notice, he's responding to a voicemail telling this caller the economy is actually quite good.
Acting like the economy is so booming and good.
Because I look at the data. This is not a show about my opinion. My opinion is irrelevant. I'm looking at the data, and that's why I say the economy is good.
The economy is absolute trash.
Oh.
There are no jobs.
Oh. We actually have record low unemployment.
Everything is so freaking expensive.
Inflation was 0 in October, 0.1 in November, and year-over-year inflation is down to 3.1%.
Interest rates are through the roof.
So right there, the average person, that hurts. It doesn't matter if it wasn't up that much month over month. And by the way, a hot inflation report just came in this week, and it's tanking the market because everyone thought the Fed was going to be able to start scaling back, and inflation started heading back up again. But 3.1% year over year, on top of the inflation that we've had for multiple years, that's killing people. If you don't understand that, what the fuck are you doing? And more to the point, hey, man, this message, and this is how lacking in self-awareness he is. I mean, he doesn't come off looking good. The message is basically calling him a grifter, and he's reinforcing the case with every answer that he has. The message is like, yeah, you're lucky you're on YouTube making money, motherfucker, because you wouldn't be able to make money out here. Like that. Yeah. That's the upshot of the message. And he's right. Like, why? Look, I can't even blame him, man. He's making his money. Who watches this? Who watches this? Why would you watch this fucking idiot who does not understand how much years of inflation have hurt people, even 3.1% year over year, unless wages have kept up with that, which they have not? That's money out of your pocket.
Even if it flatlined, it would still be too much.
Right.
Even if it flatlined this year over last year.
Over several years now.
Exactly. Even if it flatlined this year over last year, it would be way too much. It would be way too much.
Yeah, I sent you a picture, and granted, it's L.A. I sent you a picture the other day, man. The gas here is like $5.67.
Yeah,
and that carries over into everything. You'll have a heart attack, man. To order a hamburger.
Yeah, I wasn't sure you'd want to tell this story on the air because it's a little bit embarrassing. But go ahead. If he makes a point, it makes a point.
Hey, I gotta fucking eat.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? That was when I first got here. I had no food. I didn't have anything. It was too late for Instagram.
Yeah.
Hamburger? Instacart. It was too late for me to shake my moneymaker on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So I get the boys to bring the milkshake to my yard. Right. So I order a milkshake, hamburger, fries, $48.
From DoorDash to have them deliver it.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I'm a sport with the tip, so that's part of it. But still, man, I mean,
no, gas is $5.50. The base pay on those orders out there has to be high enough for those drivers.
Fucking dollars.
Yeah.
And it's, I looked at other things. Like, it's not like anything else was going to be that much less expensive. Like, I was not, with what I would tip, I was not getting away with paying less than like $38 for anything I would order.
Yeah, no, it's brutal, and the groceries are brutal. I always try to shop at either like a wholesale grocery place or Trader Joe's because it's cheap. But every once in a while, you're running around, you got the kids with you got to do some grocery shopping at like a Target. You can't fill any. I mean, you go to a regular store that's not like a discount store or like a Trader Joe's, it's $100 to fill a fucking grocery bag. So what are you talking about? It's a 3.1%. See, the reason why he's obsessed with his data is because his audience, to answer what you asked, are people for whom politics is baseball. So you're like talking about which team is better. Well, Cincinnati's shortstop has a higher fielding percentage than Pittsburgh's, and so they're the preferable team. If that's all politics
but just
is
go
to
to
his
CNN.
audience.
Go to CNN. They have a budget.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to watch this schmuck, this low charisma schmuck, tell you what you could hear on CNN?
Even
That's
the
what I don't
PMCs are getting
understand.
priced out of cable these days, I guess. I don't even know what cable costs now. I get it with my apartment. It's included in the rent they pay for the cable and the Wi-Fi, so I don't even know what it would be. But it's insane.
I don't have cable at this point either. I can't answer that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go back to David Pakman.
Rates are down 2 points and coming down further.
Kids can't even buy a house.
Well, okay. Kids can't even buy a house. I don't know what age you're thinking of. That part may be true.
Kids, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm 37. I can't buy a house. Nowhere near buying a house. I mean, I don't know. I'm a kid, according to Paulie Walnuts, would call me a kid. You know, he'd grab me by the cheeks and say, "You're a good kid."
I mean,
But,
you could buy a house in Albany.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard. The housing is just going absolutely through the roof.
If you weren't doing YouTube, man.
I'd probably be working in finance, to be honest. I was all set to go into finance, and then they pulled me into podcasting.
Politics.
I did everything right, and they...
He'd be in finance.
Yeah,
he'd be in. That's who you really want your left politics from.
It's a great thing to. At first, I thought he may have been kidding, because he's got a little bit of a sarcastic thing going. But no, watch.
Guided me.
No, I would almost certainly be working in finance. Yeah.
So then he's serious. He's serious. I'd be working in finance.
Like, this isn't even. We talked about this before we went on for the segment. This isn't even like MSNBC. This is like the kind of take you'd get from CNBC.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'd be working in finance. What do Russell and I do when we're not doing this? Tour guiding, delivery driving, right? That's the difference. That's the difference. Thankfully, thanks to you beautiful people, we don't have to do much of those anymore, but we still got to do some. It's not finance.
Sit there and talk crap about Trump every single day to put food on your table, man.
I don't have to. I choose to, sir, and that's a big difference.
If you didn't have that,
I could be in finance.
Totally screwed, man.
Right.
But I'm telling you this right here. There is no jobs. Nobody is spending money.
Actually, GDP has been up dramatically.
The economy is in the hole. I'm not talking about Trump or Biden. I'm not saying right or left, red or blue. I'm telling you the facts. The economy is in the dumps.
I would love it if he was able to present a single statistic that suggests that. We don't have a perfect economy. And again, we started at the top of the show.
I mean, you just mentioned a statistic, but you mentioned it as a positive, 3.1% inflation.
Yeah. And GDP does not reflect the overall health of an economic system.
No,
that's like
I
took one
GDP
economics course in college.
Jeff
I learned
Bezos.
that. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. Especially in a society as unequal as ours, you can have a country with a booming GDP with extreme levels of income inequality and poverty, which is what we have
if you
now.
don't understand that, you're not qualified to comment on politics or to work in finance.
Exactly.
Just because they're lying about oil production being down when it's actually up doesn't mean we like using oil as a source of energy. They are lying about oil production being down. And I wish it were, and that we were getting off of oil and going over to green energy. In the same way, just because the economy is doing really well by all historical metrics doesn't mean that we say, hey, I'm satisfied. We don't need to do any better. There are people without access to healthcare. 40% of the country can't meet an unexpected $1,000 expense without putting it on a credit card or borrowing from friends and family or otherwise.
Oh, that's a great economy, though. It's a great economy,
though. What do you think 3.1% inflation does to people in that position? Because that's a pay cut. That's a pay cut. What if somebody told you they cut 3% of everyone's wages?
Right.
You'd understand that, right?
Especially when most of them can't afford a $1,000 emergency as
right. If they can't afford a $1,000 emergency, what does 3.1% inflation do to their family budget?
Of course.
Say, hey, I'm satisfied. We don't need to do any better. There are people without access to healthcare. 40% of the country can't meet an unexpected $1,000 expense without putting it on a credit card or borrowing from friends and family.
I think that's wrong. I think it's 60-something%. That was according to the Forbes study. I can't imagine that number has improved. So I think he reversed that.
I think it's 57% because I just cited it in an article.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so not 40.
Just have not kept up with inflation over the longer period of time. There's a whole list of problems, but we are doing way better than we were. We are not the be-all, end-all of a Northern European-style democracy and economy, but we have made improvements, and we have to recognize that if you are measuring how well the economy is doing differently depending on who's president, then you're being biased.
The whole idea that, we're not where we could be, but we're better than we could be also. right? Seeking out that middle ground and then acting as if, I mean, I don't know. In Pakman's case, does he even put on airs that he's actually trying to push towards something better? Because what the message of the Biden White House is going into this campaign and all of the surrogates, and at this point, I would just include David Pakman as a surrogate for the Biden campaign. Maybe he's not on the payroll, but he may as well be talking like that. Their message is the economy is really good. Their message is this is the end of the line. This is the best deal we can get you. Even student debt, even the revamped student debt plan is going to be a small shadow of what it was before it got struck down. And it didn't have to be that way.
Well, you know what's ironic?
The Higher Education Act in the first place.
They're having trouble with young voters. And if you look at what they're going for with the revamped one, it's only really going to help people who've had these fucking loans outstanding for 25 fucking years, which is not the young people.
Exactly. So, look, I mean, just as, you know, we did a segment earlier about MSNBC, about how that exists to sort of present politics as a sport where you can cite your stats up against the other team where they cite their stats.
Right.
That's what that is.
Right.
That is
Right.
a presentation for people with no actual skin in the game. He's not trying to convince working class people that they have it better than they think they do. Working people know where their bank account stands, right? And they're not watching him. You can't bullshit someone with $80 in the bank who has to decide, do I put in half a tank of gas and fill, you know, one grocery bag, or do I, you know, put in, you know, a quarter tank of gas and get 1.5 grocery bags and try and stretch that extra food to the next week for the next check? Like, that's where working class people are at now in this great economy that we supposedly have. So you can't bullshit them. What you can do is bullshit the PMC about how good the working class have it, because they don't know any better, because they're not working class people. And so the audience of the David Pakman show gets armed with the facts that GDP is up. And now I have an answer to my Republican friend, you know, next time I see them, and I can own them. And that's all it is. There's no stakes in it for David Pakman, obviously, or his audience. But shout out to Big Mad Crab for actually posting that to his Twitter, and that got about 500,000 views. That went semi-viral there, that post.
Yeah, that whenever I see something like that, I can't wrap my head around it. The only thing I can think is this is for people who want CNN kind of political coverage, but they like having a comment section. They like having a chat.
Right.
They like being able to do things like this, send in a voicemail.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this guy, as he even said there, he says, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. He said he was an independent. So he was not in it for the sort of partisan own. But David Pakman was.
Please clap.